Okay, it's Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. in Switzerland. It's Space Café WebTalk time. Our Space Café WebTalk 33 minutes with Frank Salzgeber will begin soon. Thank you for joining us for this exciting event. We expect today, again, a truly global audience for our Space Café WebTalk. We also appreciate your ongoing feedback. Who we are. I'm Torsten Kriening, your host today and co-publisher of SpaceWatch.Global. We are a Switzerland-based online platform for information in and about space and new space activities in a geopolitical context. I hope many of you already know our website, our bi-weekly newsletter, our daily newsletters, our Space Café podcast, and our web talk. If you have missed any of our previous web talks, we have an archive available now on our website. We host our Space Café web talks on a weekly basis. This is already our 6th edition. I hope you mark Tuesdays at the same time in your calendar already. A little bit of housekeeping. Just to let you know, and you see it on the red dot, we are recording this webinar session and we will make it available on SpaceWatch.Global in a few days. We are also streaming the Space Café live on Facebook. That does work. If you would like to ask a question, just use the Q&A section on the lower end of the Zoom webinar screen as shown here. Not the chat, definitely not the chat, and there's no need to raise your hand as well. If you hit the Q&A tab, you will be able to type your question and send it over to us. You can also vote for questions. If we don't get your questions answered during the session, we will follow up with them later and offer answers. We can't guarantee that our guest will answer all of your questions, but we will answer as many as possible. With that, today I'm very proud to have a very special guest here. I mean, there's always a special guest, without any doubt. Please join me in welcoming Frank Salzgeber. Now the title, Frank, Head of Innovations and Venture Office in the Directorate of Telecommunication and Integrated Services at the European Space Agency. Let me offer here a very brief introduction of his outstanding career. I'm saying that as I know many of you in the audience are at the beginning of your career and you're looking for some smart ways into our industry. Previously, Frank was the head of commercial development in the European Astronaut Department of the Directorate of Human Spaceflight, Microgravity and Exploration. Before joining ESA, Frank held the position of founder and chief operation officer at an IT startup headquartered in Munich, Germany. Frank also spent 7 years at Apple Computer, in the last millennium, initially as an account manager and then as a sales manager covering Central Europe. Frank is a member of several advisory boards in venture capital funds, international corporations, and startup companies. He is also on the board of directors of European Business Network (EBN) and a board member of the EBAN, the European Business Angel Network Space. Frank holds a degree in industrial engineering. He's married, has 2 sons, and he lives in the Netherlands and Bavaria. And as a Prussian, I can see he is a Bavarian as we love them. I'm glad to have you, Frank, today on the show. Thank you for giving us an insight about ESA's immersive support for startups and entrepreneurs. And with that, our virtual floor is yours, Frank.
Thank you, Torsten. I do not know if my career is outstanding, but because most of the jobs I got, I never applied to. So sometimes you have to be open for change and open for new ideas. And then when you have these openness, sometimes it falls in the right place, sometimes it doesn't. But I think we have that later, especially when you're pushing innovation. That's very tough and you're not everybody's darling. There I want to claim right away before we go into the presentation with the words of my old Director General, Jacques Dordain, because he's in mechanical engineering. And when we speak about innovation, he said, Frank, in mechanical engineering, if you do something new, you have friction. And if you don't have friction, you do something wrong. So, and then I told him, okay, then I have to do something with my team very right, because we have so much friction across, in and out of ESA. So friction is a good showcase, or a good indicator, a KPI, that you do things right. If nobody mows, sorry, then you're on the wrong track. And this slide, I think, thank you for joining us today, and thank you to Torsten to have me in the Space Café. I think it's a great format, and great people were before me and after me, and so I feel honored. You should not feel honored, I feel honored. And for all of the people listening today on the outside, this is really important chart, which is not my name, but is at the 3 URLs, where one, you get more information about tech transfer, because that really means stuff which is already developed, which you do not have to develop again, you just adapt it. And as you heard, I was working for Apple, and the iPod was no new technology. It was just an adaptation of existing technology. The second is the business incubation, which I come into a second. We run the world's biggest entrepreneurship network in the world. So this year we're supporting, my target is about 220 startups, and hopefully more. And we see it later where and what we do. And the rest, or the last one, is business application, where we support SMEs, startups, projects, very, very, very commercial. So, and I think have that in mind. And if we cannot answer questions now, as Torsten said, we do it later. Contact SpaceWatch.Global. If not, contact me. We cannot always offer you the right answer right away, but at least we can connect you to the right person who might have the right answer for you. All right, production, please, the next slide, which is one of my favorite slides, which is not invented by me. It's invented by, I do not know whom, but it's used everywhere. And we call that the innovation funnel. And why this slide is so important, because this describes a little bit our methods, our way we want to support new projects and entrepreneurs or SMEs. So we don't want to target only one aspect of the life. We want to target from the idea generation, which is Galileo Master, Copernicus Master, Act in Space, so idea competitions. So this early promotion, these hackathons, what we have. Then we want to help to make out of the idea a business proposal, a business plan. We want to help the creation of startups. We want to help the acceleration of startups, the growth into internationalization, and then hopefully they don't need us anymore. So it's compared like you need 2 people to get a kid. You need a person who helps to get birth, you know, in the hospital or at home. Then you need a crash, but still you need grandmas, uncles helping you grow. After the crash, you go to school, primary, secondary, university, or other things. So therefore, it's important that ESA is really trying to cover all of this really growth part, and not only pieces. And what we try to do, and helping you to have a good handshake between the different elements, so that you don't have to queue and not to wait. And I think this is one of which makes us so unique. You don't have to go all the way through this funnel. You will do it yourself, but ESA will maybe help you in the beginning, or ESA promote the program, and maybe we come later. So it's up to the entrepreneurs, and it's up to you to choose what are the right tools. And I'll come to the tools a second time. And we're doing that since 16 years, because we said supporting startups is just another way of technology transfer. We take the smart brains of young ladies, guys, old guys, fresh minds, doesn't matter, it's nothing to do with age, it's just with the openness of minds. And we help them to create a company, attaching our technology, space data technology, algorithms, does not matter, they choose. And we're helping them, like an uncle or like an aunt, to grow this idea over a minimum of 2 years' time, where the incubation phase is, but before and after 2. So this is so successful that we have grown across Europe, and we also do not do that alone. We do that with local partners, with CNES, with Honora, with STFC, with DLR, with Fraunhofer. So we will all built on national excellence. In Switzerland, the ETH Zurich is our partner doing that. And together, it really, really works. That's the first thing. So, and I think maybe this is the difference to other programs like Horizon or the Commission, which goes on a certain, we really try to cover it also from the technology support, from the coaching, and really adding the network. Next slide, please. So where we do that is across the European ESA member states. Yeah? So we're not like the European Commission. We have similar member states, but Switzerland or Norway is a member state of ESA, Canada associated, not Croatia at the moment. So there are cooperation discussions. So this is where we have to focus. We still have a great international collaboration. I think Ofer from the Israeli Space Agency will be also in one of the calls. Is one of our colleagues where we work together with their startup program. And we're also working with NASA, with Russia, with Canada, with JAXA. So this is one of the great things of Europe and the great things of ESA. We are built on cooperation. And this is a reason why a lot of people trust us. So these are our centers where we have partners. This year we plan that we, with ESRIC, is a Space Resources Innovation Center in Luxembourg, they will join our network. Poland is in the planning. Denmark just joined in January. We're speaking about Greece, and we're speaking about Romania. And then we have all the European member states having an ESA Business Incubation Center. And it's up to you which field you want to do. It's not up to us. We help you, support you, and you get a frank advice and a frank answer. You get between 50 and 250K cash. You got sheltering, and you got access to our network. And network means not only space, that means everything. But we are frank to you. Next slide, please. And then on the other side is, that was the business incubation. We still have the technology transfer, which is the access to ESA patent to the technology. And then the majority of funding, and this is the funding block, roughly what we got in the last ministerial, which is our funding board, I would say, every 3 years. We got roughly about 220 million, which we will invest into ventures, into startups, in tech transfer, partly because there's another tech transfer budget for computing. And we come very at the end when you are short before the customers, when you really do the commercial phase. And ESA directorates, Earth observation, navigation, and telecommunication agreed that the near customer at the end, really at the market, this is done by the integrated application formally, and now it's called Space Solution. And the business application is the part where we do really the downstream support. And there are several elements, but you see a lot of boxes here. It's a lot irritating, but this is see where the money is. So we put a lot of money in the beginning, yeah, for the entrepreneurs, but have a bigger pot of money even at the end when you come with the first customers. Yeah, and this could be existing companies, could be SSM, and especially downstream demonstration. This is when you have the first customers, when you do something new, when you want to do something jointly. And therefore, so half of our budget goes really into the big projects. Yeah, we speak about virtual corridor, we speak about agriculture, we speak about all the downstream application what we have. So that you get a little bit focus, and we speak also about 5G, we speak also about security. We do also a little bit microgravity, we're supporting our colleagues in human spaceflight. We're just speaking also with the people of launches. So we try to be the commercial access arm with the funding, but also having a lot of dots, points of sales in the regions, speaking the language of these countries, and also having the knowledge of these countries and regions. So that means also that we just in the discussion with a supporting mechanism from the company Mublox. It's a Swiss company building, I would say, the best GNSS chips in the world. So how we can give our startups via Mublox a better support. We're speaking with Amazon. We're speaking with Space Corporation. So we are the good uncle with the right advice, a little bit money in the pocket, or aunt, and we want to follow you not only to 2 years, we want to follow you at the beginning until the growth. And when we have done things right, and hopefully we get a Ramadan, Hanukkah, Christmas card when you're successful. That's it from my side.
That's fast. Great. Thank you, Frank. Let's start into this dialogue here, and to all of you, please keep in mind, use the Q&A section, not the chat. We will just ignore the chat there. So put your question, if you have one, to the Q&A section. Let me start it off our Q&A. Can you give us I mean, you talked about 220 as an general goal for you on startups. So what kind of startups do you support today? So, and what is the percentage between space startups and the others, as you said, AI, security, and so on, upstream startups, or especially, I mean, that's the hard business, we know. So can you elaborate on that?
Sure, Torsten. Excellent question. In general, you have to see with the business application, we have the 220 roughly, and with the ESA business incubation, we have 220. And with the business application, we also have startups. Our focusing, there we do everything with rail, Corona. We just had a big call with Corona, which may come later. To be honest, I lost even track how many companies we have and what they do. So I know some of them, and this is the reason why I'm still in some of the selection boards. So a company recently we selected is about agriculture, to using drones to get off special heat in the field, fly the drone, put really either pesticide or not herbicide or even organic stuff to there and reseed that. So this is agriculture. We had a lot of stuff in agriculture. 11% of our startups are upstream. Yeah, ESA Aerospace, for example, they're building a rocket. Yeah, Open Cosmos in the UK.
And with that, hello to Daniel, who is online.
Hello, Daniel. So these are great stars, and I tell you, building a rocket is pretty tough. Building satellites is also tough. Building CubeSats, but so also we have companies like Manaric, which we help in a certain phase doing laser communication. Is that space? Is that ground application? I think it's both. But then we also have companies which like Lilium Aviation building a flying taxi. We had companies like NaVinci, which was building automated fly paths for drones, which was acquired by Intel. But we also have companies like SatSearch, which is a great tool to see what are the components in the market. You know, it's a platform giving visibility of the space components. Or one of my companies which I really love is HostMe. Yeah, it's the Tinder, space Tinder, you know, where you place your payload. And it brings also transparency to the prices and the offers. So it's up to the entrepreneur to set the market. It's not up to us. So when we select companies, we select the team, business model, business case, and then we look to the technology. Yeah, because a lot of them have to change the business model anyhow. And I go back to the company Lilium, where we were sitting on a board, and there was one person saying, why we should support them. They want to do competition to Airbus. And then we said, come on, if we do not support them, who else does? Our job is to increase the likelihood of success. It's their success, but our job is to be the wind in the back and to grow them. So, and I think we have so many amazing companies across Europe, which Clear Space from Switzerland won a big tender doing deorbiting, you know, and they won a big tender against the space industry, against Airbus and OHB and others. Wow. So I would say these are the rebels. These are the square heads in the round holes.
Good. I maybe didn't mention it earlier, but my wish is that we have an interactive thing going on, because we only have 33 minutes, so we try to get as much as possible into it. I'm picking a few questions already from the chat, and as you mentioned, HostMe, also I take this question from Jörg Kreisel. How many startups has the ESA TT schema generated over the years?
I think only for the big, hello Jörg, I think this year we reached 900. So the curve goes like this. So, and there you can calculate. We started with 8, and the space industry was not even laughing about us. So that's a good thing, because they have not recognized us. And then when you break out of the radar, then it's normally too late, you know, but because then you're too close. So at the moment we should reach short before 900. I think we have 850, and now the selection is going on.
Great. We have a number of questions about third countries. So how can startups from non-ESA member states work with you and the network, and what can they get out of it? I mean, in particular, we have questions here from Africa, from India, and so on.
First, we would like to also connect you with some local players who you may do not know. In Africa, we speak with SANSA, South African Space Agency. They want to copy our model, the same we do with Morocco. We have discussion with Singapore. We have discussion with India, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, because space is neutral. We're out of the politics. And so we would connect you to some of the players you may not know.
Did you just say space is neutral?
Yeah, it should be neutral at least.
Okay,
yeah,
I just want to see that I got it right. So sorry for that.
Yeah, I think space should be not military. Yeah, it should be open to everybody. Yeah, so I'm a big supporter of the free space, and it's for mankind or humankind, not mankind. So I have to correct myself. So if not, I think a lot of companies have a subsidiary in Europe or in another country or in the States, and I believe you got great partners here in ESA member states or in Europe, and why not teaming up with them? So we would also connect you with other startups, and this we learned, you make a super fair deal each other because you're both young organizations, young companies, and connecting you, that's fine, and it works on both ways, you know. And I think such has a very good relation also to India, and we use them also because they know the market, because they have a family there, they have connection. So that is something great. And if not having a subsidiary, we would tell you where are places, which are the programs, and we would honestly advise you, and not taking a share. I think that's a big difference between some accelerators which just suck the blood of the startups, giving nothing back beside writing checks. So we don't take equity, we are neutral. We are 100% neutral. The worst thing you get from us is a funding program.
I'm taking a question from Raphael. Do you see enough exit routes for startups in Europe? I think that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's always difficult. Yeah, I think we should have more. Acquisition is a thing where a lot of companies have to learn. We had it in the automobile industry. For the space industry is new, and where the acquisition later is coming from, and our politicians do not want to hear that. Sorry, if we do not find the 250 million investment for a company, then it has to come outside of Europe. Sorry. If it works for BMW or Mercedes, why should not work for our startups? It's not good, because maybe then the know-how is going away, but better this company is and the people are surviving. And maybe we have a legislation which is similar like Israel. When you move the things, you have to pay back, or you have to pay a higher tax on your shares or whatever. But I think access is in general a problem. And we should have more access because it's maybe more European culture to keep the country until the bitter end, or the rest of the world is the same. In America, you sell it and you do the next thing. Both is correct. Yeah? It's up to the entrepreneur. I think we need more access, which helps to get more money into the game.
Great. I just said, I'm ignoring the chat, but there's one message from Daniel I'd like to say, or rephrase here. Thanks for helping ESA Aerospace in the very early days through ESA Big Frank. So I think that says it all.
But it's your success. We're just here from time to time to help, and it will come the time when you're older, bigger, and more successful. They just have a new facility, which is awesome. I want to visit it because this is how it should be, and Dalia has a great spirit, and this is our job, and it's so much fun.
Absolutely.
To see you fly.
Yeah, in the literal sense. From Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, leave it for another discussion. Okay, fair enough. It's COVID time. I think we can't ignore it. Are there any special programs or you have to support startups during these hard days?
Yeah, first of all, I think we have to see there are several calls related to COVID-19 and funding calls. We just got the commitment of just Italy having 10 million for projects. And but I would say COVID is great. There are great tools for that, but I also want to see later because a crisis is good, but because it shakes the system. But we all have to learn to make out of from lemon lemonade. So what is after? So we supported a huge hackathon done by Garage 48 in Estonia, where there are 12,000 participants. So we supported there, but I'm more keen to see what ideas come out, and we support the ideas. Yeah, this is where we want to invest, at least our office. ESA is doing more, and please go to the ESA website, you find it. But I think having the ideas afterwards, and there are so many, and this is about digitalization, it's about Internet of Things, it's about telecommunication, doesn't matter. We have so many smart people out there. Our job is to help them to increase their likelihood of success.
Great. A follow-up on that topic. First customer, anchor customer, agency customer can help startups to survive in the critical phase. And you mentioned that in the later stage of their existing. Is ESA in the position to be that kind of customer for startups? especially when we talk about upstream.
Yes, I think that has changed into the good, and I think Clear Space is a good example. We speak about a 140 million contract going to a startup. We know we have the cases from NASA, but NASA is also Air Force. They have a bigger amount behind there. But I think ESA goes into that direction. But it's not only ESA. It should be all governmental organizations. It should be all national agencies. It's not only us. ESA is a part in that game. And we should allow that much more because we have new player coming up. And competition is good. So Mr. Bosch once said, I do not want to work in the market where I do not have a competition. When you go dining, you go to the street with 10 restaurants, not into a street which is just only one. Because in the street with 10 restaurants, you get a better service, a better price, and a better quality. So and I think this is what we have to have. And therefore, maybe also, this is what ESA working on, the procurement rules, that we have certain new tools. We have to allow more ideas coming up from startups, especially in the commercial part. I think we are on a good track, but to be answer your question, I think we can do more. Yes, we can do much more.
There's an interesting one from Robert Phillip. You mentioned AWS. Does ESA plan to support a company like AWS or startups with the AWS service application in the space business?
So Amazon Web Services I would say, look to Amazon. And I have a nice picture of Toys R Us, and this big picture going out of business. You cannot ignore it. They have a great tool. And Amazon has more. Amazon is a logistic company. Amazon is a cloud company. Amazon Ground Station, which is an amazing tool. They're so smart. And then we have also the Amazon startup system. And then we have Blue Origin. So Amazon has more accounts, and we have just discussion. And of course, we have to work with them because they're good players. Our job is to negotiate that with them something that our startup can get as better than they negotiate alone, because they have the Uncle ESA on the side. And trust me, there's an Irish saying, on the shoulders of the giants you see further. We are the giant, the startups are our kids. We have to allow them to climb our shoulders and to help them. This is important because if you are a 3-person company negotiating with Amazon, good luck. If you are the agency, or you have the agency on the back, that helps. So I think this is our role. We have to help them to get a better deal with the big corporates and to get a better support towards the startups. If they do later a cooperation exchange, it's up to the startup. I would love to have something in Europe, based in Europe out of that, but sorry, we try, our European companies. But Quelle was a great German company, but sorry, they icked up, because they had catalogs, they had warehouses, but sorry, they missed the digitalization. They went out of business. Bad luck.
Okay, let's try to capture 3 more questions, or with really the request for very short answers. Verena asks, what is the ratio of female, male, or led startups? Do you encourage a more gender-balanced startup ecosystem?
We tried it. Yeah, we tried it, but it's up to the startups to apply. We have very successful. I think it's a very low ratio, but that has to do also with STEM and STEM education and engineering. So I'm a member of Women in Aerospace. I and 9 other guys. We are the quota. So we encourage that. We're working with that, but I would not make our own funding available because that's the wrong route. Helping them, showing them the cases. That's what we can do.
Here's another one about the current situation. Or how do you see the ESA space or funding situation in the coming months and years, given the pandemic? And what does it mean for startups? Is there any change to be seen?
What we try to do, that we have a higher funding rate in terms of co-funding, going up to 85. We're working on more advance. We're working on partly payment. We try to pay quicker. So we try really to work on the cash flow on our contracts. Our contracts are heavy sometimes, but in the big side it's easy. So we worked on the measures we can immediately do, and we're looking for good ideas, especially now. And all the member states looking to good ideas. So better to spend the money now than in 3 years. Okay.
And the last one from from the listeners here, taking what are the 3 to 4 features of a successful space-related startup that ESA would see as useful and with a high potential? Can you draw a picture of that?
For me, it's always the team. It goes down to the team. Is it complementary? Does it work? Yeah, and if they are capable to change the business model. We have a survival rate of 86% after 5 years, which shows me that we're not taking enough risk. But it's really the team. It goes with the team. And it's not one person, it's 2 or 3. Most of the time it's 3. So this is what I see. This is the successful part. Knowing what they're talking about.
Let's get out your crystal ball for a moment. So how do you see the role of ESA in the future? What are the trends that are coming up? What is the ESA development in the context of the European Union and all this heavy political level?
It's a good question. Political level is not for my job grade, but I see ESA is a technology agency. We know what we do. That's a big difference between maybe a commission funded, which is more administrative. It's not positive or negative. We work great with the commission in a lot of programs. So our working on a startup, an idea over 5 to 10 years or a project, that makes the success. There's no quick success. So I believe if ESA is right, and the management of ESA is right, and focusing on the core competences, yeah, and really changing, also be innovative within themselves, permanently changing, they have a great role in Europe being the space agency for Europe, because I think this is what ESA should play, and the commercial one.
Cool, great. Thank you very much, Frank. I'm afraid we have to come to an end as we stick to our 33 minutes, even so we would like to continue this talk with you. But be sure we will follow up on the space startup topics in our webcasts and in our magazine, of course. I have a very special announcement here because we are very proud to be the media partner of an online event coming up next Monday on the 11th of May at 4 p.m. And it's called the UN 75 Dialogue about the SDG 18, Sustainable Development Goal 18, Life in Space. It's a roundtable organized by a great group of very engaged students from the Windesheim Honor College. And check it out on Eventbrite if you're interested to participate. Great speakers, a great panel are run by the fantastic team you see on the lower right side of on the slide here. So our next webinars are next week on the 12th of May. I will have Professor René Laufer as my guest in the webinar to hear from him about the future of small satellites. On the 19th of May, I have Vera Pinto from the European Commission talking with me about how can space help inclusion and promote equality. I think a topic we just picked up, Frank. And on the 26th of May, I'm very happy to announce that I will discuss with Professor Dr. Kai-Uwe Schrogel, the president, or let's put it that way, in his capacity as the president of the International Institute for Space Law, his thoughts of the space law for the future, and I'm super excited about that. All events are live on Eventbrite already. As always, we would like to hear your feedback, so please check in with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, send us a postcard, or get in contact with us the way you like. Don't forget to sign up to our daily or bi-weekly newsletters. Next one will be out this Thursday, so in 2 days. If you haven't read the huge variety of our perspective from international space experts on the executive order of the US President Trump, please check them out on our website. They're really worth to read. And just as an announcement, we are planning an ebook of that will be available for free, but we are looking for sponsors on that. So if you're in the position to do that, please let us know. We are very happy to have a chat with you. And with that, thank you all of you participants very much for your interest today. Thank you, Frank, for being my guest and having this very intense discussion. It was great. And thanks again to my entire team behind the scenes for doing that great job week by week again. And I hope you will all stay well, stay healthy, and thanks for joining us. And I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye from us.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
day. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.